Ladies and gentlemen.
I want to know, can you find your mind?
Welcome to Love Your Brain.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Eric.
Hello, Eric, and hello, regular people. No, just kidding. Hey, everybody, I'm Dave. How about that?
You're Dave.
Yeah, I never can follow up the hello, beautiful people thing.
Really?
I have to come up with something.
I'm going to stick to it.
I'm saying I got to come up with a rebuttal.
All right, well, you work on that.
Yeah.
This is Love Your Brain. This is a podcast. And this is
Indeterminate scope.
Indeterminate Scope. And we are on podcast number
This would be number 3, wouldn't it?
3.
This would be number 3.
3 is the magic number.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dave. Welcome to Love Your Brain, a podcast of indeterminate length. Indeterminate scope. It's going to be a real bumpy start today. It's been a real bumpy day, too. So, being podcast number 3, we had a moment last time where I got beeped. I was the first one to get beeped.
Congratulations.
And I was surprised afterwards when I was listening to the playback because it made sense when I got beeped when I said fuck.
There it is again.
Right? But I was surprised that I got beeped when I said ass.
Wow.
So, which the best part about that is nobody's going to have any idea what I just said.
There you go. I think they might be able to figure it out in context, but
Maybe. They don't know if I said shit.
Wow.
They don't know anyways. So,
you are winning.
yeah, I got very few barriers today.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So, Dave,
So, Eric.
so what would you like to talk about today?
Well, I'd like to revisit things. We've already a few times brought up subjects and said, we'll have to get into that one later.
That's right.
In the very first podcast, we were talking, and I said something along the lines of, I would probably consider myself some sort of Buddhist atheist or something. I don't want to label myself with the Buddhist thing only because I don't want to insult other Buddhists with my
Right.
buffoonery.
Okay.
And then you said you were pretty sure I'm agnostic.
Yes, I would say, I would actually make an even more bold statement and say that most self-acclaimed atheists are actually agnostic and
Okay, so tell me why.
either aren't aware that they are or are so staunch in the title that they give themselves.
Okay, but what about me? What makes you say it about me?
Well, let's just back up for a second, and I'll make the statement that I've known you for 15 years or 14 years. I think we agreed on the first podcast. And my observation and the way that it occurs to me in regards to whether you're atheist or
Lately it occurs.
or agnostic, you throw me off sometimes. I love it.
What
But I'll come
long,
right back.
Strange trip it's been.
The way it occurs to me is that just in conversations that you and I have had over the years, that you've been very ambivalent. You've been on the fence post. Sometimes you dip your foot in the whole God possibility, and then other times you have a pretty hard stance on atheism. Just that alone, just the mere fact that I've heard you make statements of possibility or the possibility of there being a higher power, an intelligent creator of all of this, leads me to the conclusion that you are agnostic. And I think it might be good to define the two and make sure that we're on the same page too.
Well, I think that'll come out in the conversation here. So
Okay.
I want to mention two different movies throughout this podcast. The first one is one what I actually was watching earlier today. See, I would likely consider myself to be a scientific skeptic. That is to say, I believe things have to live in the realm of the provable to some extent. Okay? And I was watching a movie earlier. Have you ever heard of a guy named James Randi, The Amazing Randi?
Nope.
Okay. I would highly recommend anybody who hears this, to go watch a movie called An Honest Liar. He's a man who's a master magician and scientific skeptic and spent most of his career debunking charlatans because he knew how they were doing what they were doing, right? He knew the magical arts, as it were,
Right.
and he knew how they were making the pencil move, how they were bending the spoon,
Yeah.
and how they were finding out that there's somebody in row 10 whose mother has cancer,
Yeah.
It's
Called mentalism.
except for it was a charlatan. And,
Right.
and in this movie, they actually show it happen, how he debunked it. So I'm not going to, but he was a scientific skeptic. And that is to say that he knew very well that there was no way to bend the spoon with your mind. And so then he went about trying to find out what it was they were doing, right? Using all the things that he knew as a magician, and was able to go about proving it, that in this case is a guy named, I think, Uri
Geller. I was
Yuri-
about
yeah.
to bring it up.
Yeah,
Johnny Carson.
he absolutely busted him.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
The Johnny Carson show. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, geez, I'm not feeling it today. The thing's not moving. Wow.
You beat me to it. Cool.
The Amazing Randy. So you know who he is.
Okay. I do now.
Anyway, this part of this topic came up in my brain this week because I've been talking with somebody out on the West Coast somewhere, and the person is very much a hardline atheist, to the point where, as far as I can tell, they feel as though really humans are nothing more than a bag of chemicals that are interacting in whatever ways they're interacting. I can't argue that point at all, right? And I can absolutely put myself in a position to see how a human can be seen that way, because what we can prove is only that, right?
Yeah.
All right. And as we were talking, I started talking about some of the different things that I have done and the different people in my life who have different belief structures that I can put on like a comfortable old shoe as well, right? I have tried a number of different things. I have delved into many different things. And I do talk about possibility because I am not conceited enough to think I know everything there is to know in the known universe and beyond. I am not foolish enough to think that I'm not that intelligent to know that. All right? So we started having this back and forth fight about this, which I would not engage as a fight. I would basically was saying, look,
debate?
roughly about 2/3 of the people who walk this earth believe in some sort of higher power,
Yeah.
maybe even a higher percentage of that.
There might be something to
Now,
that.
is it possible they're all mentally ill? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible that they are as a god? Sure. Is it possible that it is a Christian God? Is it possible that, so the questions start to pile up in there because, again, there is no way to prove a lot of this stuff as far as I'm concerned. And so we had this conversation where I was saying, essentially, I look at it as everybody speaks a different language. And if I want to have a conversation with them that goes into the areas of, say, spirituality or the mind, I am going to have to treat what they believe with some level of respect and not say, you know what, you're from the 2/3 of the part of the world that are mentally ill. Like, that's not how I have been approaching it. Now, that goes to say that every time that I have tried something, I have tried it with an open mind. Okay? Because I also know that things like prayer and stuff require faith and an open mind for them to work, right? So now the question on how they work and what are the proof of their results, totally different area. But we started having this conversation, and basically that person's conclusion is that anybody who believes that way is an absolute infinite and not worth talking to anyways.
Wow. That's a pretty hard stance.
It is a pretty hard stance. Now, let's take that in another direction. Flip it on its head. Do you know people who are religious enough to say that they would never talk to an atheist? That atheists are doing the work of the devil?
Most people I know, that's not the case.
No, I said, would you say that do you know any of that do you know any hardcore religious people who would not talk to somebody who wasn't their religion?
I personally do not. Yeah. I don't associate with people that would be,
do you know
they
they
would lack
exist?
that much open-mindedness.
Do you know those people exist?
Of course they exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really no different. This person is an atheist saying he wouldn't talk to anybody who believes any sort of spiritual belief whatsoever. I don't see any different as somebody who's saying, I wouldn't talk to that person because they're another religion or because they don't believe in religion or God. And to me, it's stubbornness on each end.
I would agree with that.
So here's where the second movie comes in. Have you ever seen the movie Contact?
Of course.
Okay. Written by Carl Sagan.
Great movie.
Great movie. Fantastic movie. And tackles the science and religion thing really, really well. And it was a revelatory movie for me because I realized during watching that, might have been the first time I ever watched it, that the biggest limitation on whether or not different religions can exist together, whether or not people who believe in science and people who believe in religion can exist together, all of that, or even entertaining the fact that they both are right, can only be performed in your mind. It's all a level of belief. So that's where I started with this argument with this guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's all a belief. If you aren't willing to talk to or believe that there is a possibility that there's a God, then that's it. You will not go there, right? Believe it or not, though, you have room. Mentally, we have room to fit it all. Mentally, we can look at it all. Mentally, we can try and experiment with it all. Whether or not one can be proven over another is a completely different thing. But I look at it and I say, I personally have trouble understanding why somebody who is very religious can't put themselves in the shoes of an atheist.
Well, I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual, and I can put myself in the shoes of an atheist. And just to go back to
the point where you're willing to disprove your own beliefs?
Absolutely. Right. And the biggest word that you've used that I want to say right now
is anti-disestablishmentarianism?
Nope.
No. Okay. No, that's got the most
Anthropomorphism,
prefixes
I think,
and
is
suffixes.
a fun one that could be applied to this. But no, possibility. you've even in your talk right now, you've still brought up possibility. I don't know. Therefore, how could you be an atheist if you're still questioning? Because by definition, atheism is no God. That's it. We're done. It's not happening. End of conversation. With you, there's possibility in your words. There is a level of mental humility that you state in the fact of I don't know. So if you don't know, that leads to possibility that there is a God.
Yep.
And that's why I have not a hard time. That's why when I listen to a lot of self-acclaimed atheists speak, I'm like, oh, you just said some things that aren't in alignment with atheism. You're speaking a possibility. And that's all. It's in, I don't want to focus on semantics, but I've never really met a full-fledged atheist.
I've known a few in my time.
Yeah.
Turns out there is a term for what I am.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, you just left the door wide open, but I'm just going to let you tell me.
I know, it's asshole. But I am going to beep the hell out of this show.
Wow, man. I feel left out, but it has to be the right time, man. It's just got to be.
No, it's an agnostic atheist.
An agnostic. Okay. Well,
it's actually
there
a term.
We go. Then there you go. That is what you are.
An agnostic atheist
I'm in alignment with that, Dave.
An agnostic atheist doesn't believe, but also doesn't think we can ever know whether a God exists.
That's Dave.
Well, that's the thing, is that you can't prove it, right? You can't proof about it. So this, of course, ultimately leads to a conversation about faith.
Well, it also, but let's hold on there. It also.
Oh, don't worry. I'd rather stay in this.
No. It also leads into a conversation about the tools that we have to prove things, and the over reliance on that.
Mm-hmm.
The over reliance on the current scientific method, which, if you look back even a few hundred years ago,
You mean back when we were burning witches?
I mean, sure. But, even as far back as if someone were to say, we'd be able to put, this large metal thing with wings in the sky and fit, 120 people in it, they had science then that would prove that it was impossible. So I like science, but only to a certain degree, because science is something, science is something that is ever changing, that is ever evolving. And all of these, what a lot of people think are facts in science, are really just theories.
Right. So science is ever changing, ever evolving. Wait a second. Da Vinci designed a flying machine that works. I mean, they've since built a reproduction of it. It works. So there was known flight. I mean, men were trying to fly, but they just couldn't, like you said, giant metal tube. Oh crap. Go back to where you just left off. The
over reliance on science. It's ever evolving,
ever evolving and ever changing. Yes. Why? Why is it always evolving and changing? Because the whole goal of science is to prove the previous stuff wrong, or to prove it cannot be, or that it is right.
Or to prove a hypothesis that they have a hunch about and find evidence that is maybe erroneous.
Why? That's not the question is why is it changing and growing and changing? Changing is because the nature of science is to allow your theories or your hypotheses to be challenged, right? The goal is ultimately to be wrong, right? I mean, when a true scientist,
to be right. I mean,
a true scientist, when their theory suddenly gets shot down by something they never even saw, will be like, "Oh my God, that's fantastic," and dive into even different types of research. Okay, the whole point to science is to explore, to learn, and to know that nothing that you've done before is 100%. You're supposed to improve upon it. That's part of science. Is you're supposed to, because there are very few scientific laws, right? Gravity is a law, right? Then there are like scientific theories, which are things that we have proven, but we have not been able to prove that they are unbreakable physical laws. So therefore, they still stay in the theory category because they've been elevated out of hypotheses. But we're not going to make this whole thing about science so much as to say it's growing and changing for a reason because it's part of the scientific process.
But it's also part of the human experience. And there are things that exist that we as human beings may not have any science to prove or disprove.
Well, then, wait a minute. How do you know they exist then?
I'm saying there might be things that exist.
No, you said there are. I think.
Okay.
Rewind the tape.
And that's fine. I have a hunch that human beings don't know as much as we think we do about the nature of reality
Absolutely.
and the nature of the universe.
Absolutely.
And so for us to be over-reliant on science that we have created is humorous. It's humorous to me.
You don't create science, you discover it.
Right. Okay. But the way in which the scientific method proves whether something is false or true, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Truth is truth, right? Like I'm not denying that. I just find it humorous that people rely so much on science when science couldn't prove a lot of things that we take for granted now. So if that's the case, if hundreds and hundreds of years ago there was science, right? And it could not prove the existence of what? Radio waves, the existence of microwaves, right? So if that's the case, let me finish, please. If that is the case, and here we are today, right? What if it's only common sense to me that there are other things that we don't know about, that we don't have the science to prove or even discover yet.
Sure.
And I think that the spiritual realm, not to get fluffy and flaky on you, but I think that the spiritual realm, the paranormal realm, are some of those areas that
All right, hold off a sec.
we just don't have science.
I have multiple things I got to say about it.
Okay.
Okay, so one is that 200 years ago, a scientist is 100% sure that they've gone as far as they can possibly go.
Yeah.
Well, that person is just as arrogant as somebody who says, it's only God and it's all God. As far as I'm concerned, those are all sorts of arrogance because there are blocks in the mind. They are saying, this is what I know, and this is what will be.
Well, you can't learn
And you
anything.
can't change my
You can't
mind
learn
about it.
anything new if you think you know everything.
Yet if you're a scientist who believes in progress and learning and technology, then you do things like leave slices of the brain behind so they can be tested years later, so that maybe keep fibers and hairs and nail clippings from murder scenes because you know that 20, 30 years later, there might be some technology that can help you with that. That's done out of knowledge that this is the way the process of science works. And so you know that you can't get any further. You put the evidence aside so that when there is science, it can be done with it. Now, that's a form of faith, but it is faith on the fact that it's built on the back of very solid scientific stones.
Got it.
So,
I think that over-reliance on science, that flows nice.
so
Over-reliance on science is a way
that
of
is
missing out.
arrogance.
Is missing out on possibility of something else.
Now-
the unknowns, and I think
Now,
that's
here's-
where atheists tend to. I need evidence. I need proof. I need to see it. I need to touch it. I need to feel it. Well, radio waves. You believe in radio waves? Right. I mean, it's that funny old argument. You could
Sure.
also one that just came
Can you
to
see
me.
an infrared light or ultraviolet light?
No,
Of course not.
some species can, but how about this?
I'm talking to you, but you, right? So,
Yeah.
wait, so what, as far as I'm concerned, yes, that is scientific arrogance.
I like that we're on one topic today. We have not been like
Yeah.
over the top tangential. This
It's
is good.
scientific arrogance to believe that there is nothing more than what you have in front of you.
That's right.
Okay. Now here's
Including
the
God.
question, though. Okay, so you want to tackle God on this one?
No, we
let's
don't.
do it.
No, it's
No,
okay.
you did it. So here we are, and we're gonna and I just want to put this out there and say, when it comes to you, let's use the word conceiving of a power greater than yourself,
Yeah.
and connecting to it somehow. Would you call that belief, faith? How would you? So you got belief.
I would say neither, actually. I would say that there are some things that I have a knowing about. What is knowing, right? For me, knowing is that deep down, innately within my DNA and my truth of who I am, I know.
So if I unravel your DNA, no, I'm going to be pretty literal on this stuff.
All right.
Because you know why?
I think there's a better counter-offer topic to talk about rather than
But-
God that's
but-
kind of a couple notches down. But let's
We
go.
the point being is that over the years, have your beliefs grown or changed?
I would say both,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some that have stayed consistent and constant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Or how about this? They've stayed consistent and constant, and more has been revealed, as in there's been more.
but in any way that could be quantified by anybody outside of yourself.
Well, I guess probably observations of others and the way that I've evolved into the human
No,
being
I mean,
that
could
I am
somebody
today.
else quantify
Like from the scientific
your
method?
belief in God?
No,
Like,
no.
it's a very personal, internal
It's a very
thing.
it's very personal.
It's a belief.
Yeah.
It's a structure, right, of some sort. Now,
I don't like the word belief because I think that when you use the
All right.
word belief, you kind of
well,
you
I
limit
don't-
you limit yourself from the
I don't like
possibility
the
of
word,
something.
I don't like the word
else.
knowing because it makes it sound like it can be quantified.
Yeah, I got you. I
And it
got you.
can't be.
I got you. I got you. When I say knowing, it's something that I don't question. How's that? And you're right. It is completely
That's totally
completely based on my personal experience, and I am not saying that I know and you don't. It's more that for me, in my own reality, there are certain things that are knowings, I call them. Yes. Flaky word, sure, but that's okay.
But were I to leave this room and
Mm-hmm.
go talk to somebody else and use all the verbiage you just used, except for with the definition, it's likely they might use the term belief,
It's
even
likely.
if you don't like it.
That's great.
Okay.
No, and that's why communication is so important, to make sure that when you're having conversations about topics that can be controversial, to, have that conversation with the person that you're talking about. What does that actually mean to you?
What if you have a guy telling you you're mentally ill for believing that because there's no way it can be true? It's Santa Claus in the sky, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's sad.
Sad or not, how does that help communication, right?
Well, there's people that are effective communicators, and there's people that are not. And
Right.
I tend to like to be in conversation with people that are effective communicators.
Somebody tells you that basically by believing what you believe, you're mentally ill, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Well, I'm not going to hang out with that person, dude.
You're probably not going to hang out with that person.
Right.
Would you say that person is just as conceited as somebody who's also saying, you know what? Just because you don't believe in God, there is a God. I know there's a God. I prayed
Yeah.
to God. My cancer
Yeah.
went into remission through my prayer.
Do you see
And-
me preaching to people and trying to
not
be a
talking
missionary?
about
Right.
you.
No, I know, but there are people that have strong beliefs in
What
knowings.
I'm trying to do
Yep.
in between the back and forths here is trying to This is me explaining the visual in my head again, right? You got
Uh-oh, here we go.
you got a giant plow going down
Dave's
the
got
road.
vi-
One of
Dave's
those,
got visuals going on, guys.
yeah, it's the microdosing, right? No, so you've got this, one of the double-bladed plows. It's kind of like a point in the front, and those ones.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So you're driving that down the road, and you can see the snow. We've lived here in New Hampshire our whole lives. You can see the snow rolling off to each side. And each one of those snow banks is a boundary of those belief systems. It's like on this side are the nothing but atheist, and everybody
Yeah.
outside of that is mentally ill.
Yeah.
Over here is nothing but religious, and anybody who doesn't believe
Yeah.
is a blasphemer, you name it.
I don't like any of that.
Neither do I. Now, here's the thing. Do I believe that there is a being that is consciously interested in my life on any level in a way that they are going to go out and do things or put things in order for me in a way that brings me pleasure? Do I believe there's a God who's going to get me a parking spot in front of the store? I say that only because I hear people going, "Oh, thank God, God helped me out here. He knew I was running late."
I don't go there.
No, but
Yeah.
so I don't believe that there is a being of sorts.
I don't.
Don't
I
believe
don't
that-
either. How about this, Dave? I believe in God, and I don't believe in a being.
I don't believe
And there's
even in a consciousness of sorts in terms of a personal consciousness.
Here.
I have a point. My point is that I am as sure of that as you are of what you, as you say, know.
Right.
I know that as well. And how? Because it can be proven. There are certain things that can be proven. There are certain things can't be proven. And everything else is outside of that. And I will happily explore it. But until I find something to come back and say, look, see what I found? I will always sit in this one chair. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't inhabit all the other chairs, which is what you've been seeing me do for years. And the only way to do
Right.
that is put yourself in them with an open mind and open to the belief and going through the motions. In my particular case, though, of course, I get to the other end of it and I
Yeah.
say, I learned a lot. I still don't believe what they were telling me. I'm going to move on to the next thing. Now, will I ever end up having the results or the kind of experience a full-fledged saint would have doing it this way? Very doubtful. Even if there is no God, can't argue with the fact that people who live a certain way of life can have certain characteristics that can be much more pleasurable than people who do not. But on my side of it, this is what I know, right? And so you're going, well, you're an agnostic, and the thing is you're right.
No,
I
you're
say
an
I don't
atheistic
know,
agnostic. I like that. That
but
makes
I
perfect
don't.
sense.
You know why I say I don't know? Because I'm a scientist. And I keep exploring and I keep testing. The only reason, the first episode, we were talking about prayer. The only reason I tried prayer was out of desperation. I found that it calmed me, right? So I returned to it. It was something I tried out of exploration, found some relief, and came back with it, and have tried to help other people with it. Yet, I do not petition a higher power. Or as Jim Morrison would say, you cannot petition the Lord with prayer.
Nice. Dude.
No, but the act itself, for me, may be enough, but I do know that that's the part that I can quantify. The rest of it is, well, is it the Hindu God? Is it the Christian God, the Jewish God, the Zoroastrian God? Is it, then you get into it and you're like, well, I've decided it's this particular one. They're like, well, is it this sect or this sect? And part of my biggest issue has always been is that everybody who talks to me about spiritual stuff is sure they're right.
Yeah. Well, I hope I don't come off that way. I would like to talk a little bit, if you don't mind.
No.
I,
You talked.
uh,
We heard your name. No, I'm just kidding. Please, go ahead.
yeah, so you're talking about like trying out all these different chairs. And I've done the same thing too. Trying out these different chairs of belief systems, of spirituality with an open mind.
I'm
right?
going to interrupt real quick to say
You've been
I
doing
like
it the whole episode.
trying
It's
out.
fine.
See, I thought it was the other way around.
Not even close.
I dislike trying out just as much as you dislike belief. I've been exploring.
Right. And I've been a seeker my whole life too. You've seen me. I've been a seeker. I've tried it out. But what I found is that when I came to know is when I did it my way and had a personal relationship with a higher power, as opposed to being told how my relationship with God should be. And that's why it's funny when I talk to people like, oh, you're religious? No, definitely not. I'm spiritual. And then when I tell people that I'm a follower of Jesus, yep, here we go, it's coming out now. They're like, whoa. So come to my church. What's your favorite scripture? And it's like, yeah, man, I'm not the Bible guy. I'm not the church dogma guy.
I actually got a favorite scripture
Well, I do too. It's just that
from Book of Matthew.
there are Jesus revealed himself to me in a very powerful and profound way outside of the church, and not in the context of me reading the Bible.
I remember.
Right, you know me well. So, I think that a lot of people are trying to do what other people do instead of allowing themselves to be their own spiritual scientists and figure out what works for them best. Not everyone likes the same music. Not everyone speaks the same language. And I think that God shows up for people in different ways because God knows truly how to connect with me only in the way that only in the way that God can connect with me. And that's something that I've learned has expanded my life into experiencing serenity, experiencing peace, experiencing faith, is not following someone else's,
Couldn't they just be floods of neurotransmitters?
Of course they could. It's all that, bro. It's not black and white. It's all of it. It really is.
Let me ask you this. If there was a God, why wouldn't he use neurotransmitters?
We probably, I mean, what do you mean?
If there is a God, maybe he created the neurotransmitters.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And I've had this argument with an atheist where I'm like, well, wait a minute. They're like, well, we've done everything. We've separated the brain down to a cellular level, and this, maybe you just broke the phone.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
There's a saying, something like scientists can completely take apart and identify every part of a rose, but in doing so, destroy the rose.
I like that.
The beauty of the rose. Yeah.
Right. I think over-reliance on science disallows someone to really be human. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. You already brought it up earlier. Why do you think it is that all across this earth, humans, for however long humans have existed?
I have an answer for that.
Well, hold on. Let me finish. But 11:11.
It's 11:08, man.
It was 11:11 when I looked.
Prior to that, sure.
So, why is it that human beings, it's almost like it's in our DNA to have that seeking out of a higher power? Yeah, go ahead.
I've
Answer
had an epiphany surrounding this a few times over. Because humans seek patterns and chaos. They seek reason where there is none. They seek explanation for things that are unexplainable. We do. This is why we see dogs in the clouds.
Right.
This is why,
A smiley face is 2 dots and a half arc.
You know-
we can see a face in that. I understand that.
right, but the same goes with other senses that we have, right? And the fact of the matter is that one of the few things that we get guaranteed as a living organism is safety, is reassurance.
I don't know if safety. I would argue that. There's people of faith that were in such faith that they put themselves in situations knowing that they might be killed.
You misunderstand what I mean. by
All right.
that.
Okay.
Reassurance. People go there for sanctuary. How's that?
Go where?
Go to religion for sanctuary,
Yeah.
which is a feeling of safety,
Right.
which is trying to make order of the chaos,
Yeah. I hear all that.
right? And so
And-
how
and-
did we
and-
do
and
it? So first we started by telling stories to each other, right? We'd say, I felt as though, there was a great lion on my chest, and that story gets told on and generation after generation in an oral culture. And sometime along down the line, somebody starts talking about the holy lion that once used to exist. Many of the stories start off as mythology and become religion, which is also why there are very similar stories around the world. For example, there are multiple flood myths in multiple different religions,
Oh yeah.
right?
This is more Joseph Campbell stuff. I know.
It is. It's absolutely Joseph Campbell stuff,
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is one of those things where, ultimately, you said the word earlier. It's
What was the
humility.
word?
It's humility. It requires humility to say, even when you are at your most sure, those things that how often are you willing to hold them up and completely disassemble them and see if they still work? On a deep internal level, how often do people actually do that?
But here's the beauty is that we also have the choice not to do that. And with certain aspects of my life, I have the choice to be strong in something that only has benefited me, which is faith in God. And so that choice alone is a beautiful thing, man. Like it's a beautiful thing that human beings have choice. But if I was constantly questioning it and trying to break it apart, it might cause more suffering and harm than good. So it's like prayer for you, right? Like, yeah,
So what you're saying
it
is
just
it's
works.
fear that it might hurt.
Fear that might hurt? What do you mean?
Let me back up a second.
Go ahead.
You said you fear reliance on science. Over-reliance on science is a dangerous thing.
For me, it is.
Would you be willing to discuss whether or not over-reliance on religion and
I'm
spirituality
not religious,
is...
bro. So like,
You interrupted me to the point. I said religion and spirituality.
all right, yeah. So spirituality.
Over-reliance on religion and spirituality can be just as, if not more dangerous.
I think when you have a good balance of both, and you're keeping an open mind for both, that it's really good. I think that's the place to be. Is that whole balance?
When we actually know, other than people
Right.
trying to get land, pretty much all the rest of the wars have been over belief. Most wars were fought in religious, with religion in mind by many people.
Well, I would argue that most wars were fought with the front of religion as being the catalyst of the war, but really they were using the church as a front. When in all reality, most wars are fought over power and money. I wouldn't say that they're fought over belief. I think belief
So you think it's okay to be over-reliant on religion and spirituality, but not science?
I think that it's not good to be over-reliant on anything, my friend. I'm in a place in my life, bro, where I question everything, but there's a few things that I don't. And those things that I don't question are like my love for my daughter, my connection to God. All the other stuff lately, I mean, one big major question mark on all of this. I question it all. I question, I question science. I do. I question science. I think there's very few facts that we know. I think most of what exists are theories.
Oh, good Lord, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think we could have this conversation on tape.
No.
No way. Because you might as well throw your phone out.
What do you mean?
Consider what had to go into those vague facts to make that thing. To make that phone. To shrink down capacitors to the tiniest little level.
Yeah.
Right? To make electronics built on the speed of light.
I get where you're going. You're focused on the word facts. Right. I got you. Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Now, I think you've told me a couple of those things, and unfortunately, I think they're, well, what the hell, I'll go for one more beep. I think they're horseshit, but,
Yeah. What's horseshit?
Again, these are like some things that have been presented by, let's say, by certain governments that had happened that may not have.
Right.
Some of them, I mean, I guess it gets to the point where, let's take man landing on the moon.
Oh, boy.
Right? The big question is what does somebody have to gain about lying about something like that? And then the question becomes, why would they still keep lying about it?
I have an answer. We got 3 minutes left, but I
We
think
can
there's
go over by a minute or two.
I think there's a part 2 to this whole conversation, because I think we're going to go to some places you might find interesting of the questions that I have. Why would they lie about something like that? To keep us as separate from God as possible.
What's the moon have to do with that?
Well, oh boy, we don't have enough time. Do you want to do this in the next podcast? I'm all for it. I mean, I'll go all in on this topic. I really don't think in even 5 minutes we have enough time. I'm all for it on the next podcast. We can go there, bro. This is good.
This would be interesting because
I'm all for it.
I mean, now, what I don't want to do, and which would be no good to anybody listening to it, is sit here and go point for point on things that we have to look up on the internet.
No.
No. But, I'd be pretty interested to hear things like, oh, Christ, I don't even know. I mean...
Want me to throw some things out at you?
I wonder how you're going to explain the speed of light. I wonder how you're going to explain gravity.
I'm not I don't need to go there. No. I'm talking about deceit.
The what?
Deceit.
Deceit.
Intentional deceit. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, governments lie. But
lie more than I think.
Oh yeah, way more.
People, I mean,
but
big stuff, bro.
But
like the moon landing.
We live on a planet in a solar system. We have a moon. It's relatively close enough that it's actually technically still in our atmosphere.
It's supposedly 250,000 miles away, or
I think it's 130 million.
You know what's really interesting is that the new Nikon camera can actually zoom in on the moon and see the surface of the moon.
So, I mean, you do know that
Can you explain that?
There is actually, well, yeah. I mean, I used to work in graphic arts. I can talk to you about cameras all day long.
But something that's 250,000 miles away, you can zoom in on the surface of it?
Yeah.
Really?
That's why we have telescopes.
Okay.
right? I mean, it's a matter of optics and it's a matter of resolution.
Okay.
But you know, there's a mirror on the moon, right?
I've heard about this.
Yes.
That it reflects back.
So that anybody could test this themselves. You just need a strong enough laser.
I've never
and know the
seen. I've
coordinates.
never seen a video of it.
There's not much to see because
Have you ever seen the mirror in action?
I'm trying to explain that
Yeah.
there's not much to see in terms of the reflection because it has to happen with the laser. Again, it's happening at the speed of light, or no, it's not at the speed of light. It's close, probably
Yeah.
90% the speed of light or something like that. And based on the miles to the moon and back, based on the speed of light, you got to use that math stuff you'd never thought you used in your life.
Yeah.
And you basically send the laser and you can calculate exactly how quickly it would come back and be registered back. Okay? And anybody with a strong enough laser and enough math knowledge can do this.
I would love to see it. Because all you're telling me
get
is
the
something-
laser, man.
But you're telling me something that you've been told, right? Or have you actually witnessed this for yourself?
Well, if we're going to go down that route,
Yeah.
we can't believe anything unless I've personally experienced
No, I
it.
want. Is there a video of someone doing it? Like, I want to see it.
Again, I don't think you're going to see anything in a video. It's math.
It's math. All right.
It's math.
I mean,
You're going to be sending out a laser pulse.
it's so funny that like we.
You know the speed at which the laser pulse moves. You know how far it has to go and how far it has to come back.
Show me.
You know how fast light moves.
Yeah.
Go buy a freaking laser, man.
All right, let's do it, Dave, because it just sounds like it's something that you've heard about, and I don't know if it actually exists because I question everything.
But we're more willing to believe that the whole thing's a lie.
No, but it's interesting because you are so reliant. You talk about the importance of science and data and evidence, but you're just saying
Again-
something that you've been
Again,
told.
that's
And
because I don't want to belabor the people who are listening to this, that I'm going to start pulling out videos and reading stuff off of a Wikipedia page.
I just don't. I question if that actually is real. If there really is a mirror on the moon that you can do this.
You've heard of it. How much have you looked into it?
I've not looked into it enough, but I will now, and I would like to see a demonstration or something that people have done to prove that mirror is really
I would
up there.
imagine
I
you could-
want science to back up this claim.
I would imagine, and I'm not 100% sure of this,
Yeah.
but I would imagine we should be able to get some help up at the McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center up in Concord,
Yeah,
right? I mean, there's a damn rocket there. But I mean, there's an entire planetarium. There are
Yeah.
actual scientists there.
Yeah.
And, this would be the place where you could go to probably get more actual information. If you don't believe
Information.
If you don't believe what you're going to read on the internet.
right. Information is one thing, but like you said, you need evidence. Well, so do I, and I question a lot of things.
And at some point, all
Yeah.
right, we just went over.
That's
But I
okay.
want to just
We're
say
good.
this real quick,
Say it.
which is that at some point we all have to put faith into something, right? And when it comes to information, we need to go to reliable sources, right?
How do you know it's a reliable
Well, that's
source?
a good question. How
I
do you
mean,
know what reliable source is? Because this enters a whole conversation that we should have
peer review
about.
journal articles and all that? Yeah.
This goes into a whole conversation we need to have
This is good.
about
This is
misinformation
This is
and
getting heavy.
disinformation.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Okay? Because you need to be able to check this stuff. So if you go to daveandhisgarage.com to get your news versus, let's say, the Associated Press, one has got credentials and has had proof going on for years that what they've said has actually turned out to be
Right.
the way it is. And the other is me in my garage singing door songs. or something.
Nowadays, my friend, I'd like to see all sources, including you in your garage, because I think a lot of people are starting to discover that what we've been told and taught in school, a lot of it is not true.
I think a lot of people are discovering that other people are making them believe it's not true. The problem with belief is that a lot of times once people get a hold of something, it's like holding on to a fish hook going off of a trawler. You go right over the edge and you follow it without stopping to question some very basic things.
I hear
So-
you. Yeah, no.
So I think
I'm with you on
This
that.
is going to really be.
We just opened up a nice
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We
little
did that last
Pandora's
time too.
box.
So, anything you want to say before we close up?
I love you.
Can you prove it? No.
Exactly. You beat me to it. No. Yeah. Can you prove intuition?
Yeah.
You know? You know it exists, right?
I don't believe in intuition.
Wow. See.
We'll
Interesting.
get into what I believe intuition is.
Yeah.
Again,
There's-
patterns in the chaos.
All I want to say is science cannot prove everything that exists.
Patterns in the chaos, man. Seeking solution, seeking patterns in the chaos. Well, that being said, we'll see you all next time on Love Your Brain.
Thanks for listening, and until next time. Oh, wrong setting.
That's better. Thanks for listening, and until next time, don't forget to love your brain.